can't find. Even I'm finding it hard. Now, we're here, we're going to leave the tower, and we're going to go to my favourite building. We're going to go to my second favourite building, the Grand Theatre. To get there, crossing the tram tracks, please do watch your feet. I've seen people getting caught tripping up. We're crossing over the zebra crossing, around the building. We'll be at the Grand Theatre in just a few minutes. I am biased about this, and I'll get to that in a moment. But first of all, have any of you been inside the glorious Grand Theatre? Loved it. But I love...
Stephen, good to meet you at long last.
Andrew, Peter.
It's been a while. Thank you for the lovely invite for tonight's Ghost Walk.
You're very welcome.
Last time we met was in January when we did the Ghost Hunt experience, which was unforgettable.
That was a night to remember.
It was.
It was.
Many reasons that we won't mention on camera, but it was wonderful. Still talking about that experience today, 7 or 8 months later. But tonight was very special for me because I learned so much about the town I've lived in for 50 years. And you are a wealth of knowledge, a fountain of knowledge, is that what you say? But some of the things you said tonight really grabbed my attention, especially around the tower.
Yeah, there's a lot of history and heritage in this town, and with what I do with the Ghost Walks, I originally started them with a little subheading, and it was history, heritage and hauntings. I have a love of Blackpool. I'm not from the area. I've lived here 24 years. To me, this is home. I wanted to find out as much about Blackpool as I could, and I was also trained as a Blackpool heritage champion going back a number of years. So I have a good knowledge of our local history, but I wanted to tie it in with the Ghost Walks and the stories that I tell. So a lot of around the tower is information that anyone can find doing even Google searches these days. You can find the history of the circus or the ballroom. But I enjoy bringing that history in to give some fact and to give a basis for why these stories, why these hauntings, or why the ghosts are actually seen there.
I mean, it was wonderful to see people's faces, actually. I mean, I was obviously watching you present, and you do tell a great story. I've got to say, every credit to you. You actually project them really well and tell them in an accurate way. But watching people's faces tonight was fabulous, because there were some young children there, so you do cater for all ages.
Oh, absolutely.
And to watch them intently looking, and there's someone like this watching you.
It's one of the joys for me is actually the expressions, because whether I've got half a dozen people with me or whether I've got 100 people with me, and it can happen, I've realised I've become a performer, and I have to play to each and every one of those people. They have to see me, and I have to see them. I'm talking directly to every single one, so I see all their faces, and sometimes, yeah, like tonight, you know, the young lads, see, they went from giggles to it was sort of this is strange.
Yeah.
And then they would walk closer to me. And I find that happens a lot with families. The children start to move in and they end up walking with the walking cane and things like that. So I do cater the stories for everyone. But it does also depend who's on the walks. So if there were no children, the actual stories may be a bit darker still.
Yes.
And if there's a lot of younger children, there'll still be sort of a core ghost story, and then there'll be a lot more that are brought in specifically for those that are still entertaining for the adults.
So your ghost walks aren't set in like a script.
No.
You can actually change.
I have to be able to do that.
Yes.
An example really that goes back, I think it's 2 years now, with Blackpool,
Yes.
that we have images projected up onto the tower building, we have sound, we have music, voiceover. I can't stop there and tell stories about the tower. I can't compete with that noise and the amount of people that are there. So I had to think about a separate route. Now I have 3 or 4 different routes and they change. There's still certain places that I go to every single time, but how I get to those, they change.
Yeah.
And the stories, obviously, they adapt for the different routes and the different locations. So, for example, the next time you come on a walk, maybe in 4 weeks' time, you'll find that we stop outside the town hall or central library or Deansgate,
Fabulous.
areas that we don't go to at the moment.
Yes. I mean, down the alley, that was really I mean, for people not familiar with Stephen's Ghost Walks, we actually stopped down this back alley where somebody was sadly murdered in the 1970s.
Don't give it away.
I won't give it away. I won't tell you. You've got to come on a ghost. You've got to come on a ghost walk to see it. But that was quite eerie. I did actually feel scared. I was in that alleyway, and I could actually feel.
Even though the alleyway is tonight bright,
Yes.
wide open, is it the story that made you scared?
It was the way you told the story and the feeling inside the alleyway. My heart was racing. I knew something bad had happened here. And I'm not going to give the story away. They're going to have to come on a ghost walk to see it for themselves. But my heart was racing. I could feel my heart. My Fitbit, when I look back, I carry a Fitbit with me.
Yeah.
That will be able to tell me my heart was over 100 beats per minute.
That's good for me because then I know that I've done my job.
Absolutely. Stephen, just briefly, your ghost walks are on until when?
They run through 5 nights a week until the 31st of August. They don't happen on a Sunday or Wednesday.
Okay.
So through the whole school holiday main period.
Right.
Then in September, there's 1 week because of all the illumination switch on. I get a break. Then they go on to Saturday and Sundays only.
Okay.
Then when we reach October, it's Thursday to Sunday. And Halloween, well,
It's your busiest time.
I haven't announced anything really about Halloween, but there may be 2 or 3 walks a day. There's other events that come in at that place.
And
as well.
can people just turn up, or can you book
Yeah,
online? What do you recommend?
You can just turn up.
Yes.
The meeting and starting point for all the walks is at the Visit Blackpool Tourist Information Centre on the Prom.
Just up here?
Yeah, it's next to, well, it's called Festival House. There's the Beach House Tourist Information Centre, and it's right opposite the Church Street, the Prom Junction. So just turn up there. They start at 7:30. You can buy tickets in advance from blackpoolghostwalks.co.uk.
Okay.
Tourist Information Centre sell as well.
Fantastic. Well, Stephen Mercer, thank you. I will go home and enjoy a nice cup of tea to calm
Nothing
my...
a little bit stiffer.
Maybe, because I was actually quite scared walking around tonight, and that's part of the experience, to feel
It
like
is.
that.
I don't want people to walk away frightened. And many of the stories, they're not scary.
No.
Ghost stories are not meant to be. If we go back to the Victorian traditional stories that I do as storytelling events,
Yes.
they're meant to be poignant, sad, to make you think. And yes, some are a little bit scary. So the idea is you go away, maybe there's a little bit of heightened awareness of your surroundings,
Yes.
and hopefully maybe you're not too nervous.
No.
Yes.
Fantastic. It's been fantastic. What a great night. Stephen Mercer, thank you so much.
You're very
I
welcome.
look forward to the next ghost experience, whether it's a ghost hunt or it's a walk.
Oh, I've got a few things planned, don't you worry.
I know, you're always evolving and always changing. thank you again for tonight.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And book and come and see this wonderful show the next time in Blackpool. Thank you.